Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining us for yet another review. I'm joined by Ariel once again.
I'm here. I'm ready.
We not just saw, but on Friday we recently saw Us, written and directed by Jordan Peele. And we've been sitting on it all weekend, and now it's time
to discuss the facts.
To break it down. If you're still on the fence, hopefully this will help you decide whether or not you want to go see it. So just like for our Captain Marvel review, we're kind of just going to each take turns. So I'm going to go first. If you aren't familiar with how we kind of review things, it's basically just whether or not you should spend the money to go see it, or essentially just wait for it to come out. Or if you're a pirate living that dirty life, then that's an option too.
It's a win-win no matter what.
Yeah. So in that case, it's whether or not you want to spend your time with it.
Yeah, your time.
So I'll go first. I will say I did enjoy it off of first impressions. Leaving the theater, there was a lot to unpack. But I will say it's not for everybody in terms of how kind of deep you want to break it down. The acting was superb. I thought each actor did very well in terms of portraying the good family and the bad family. So that's kind of having to portray two different ends of the spectrum, I would say. So I applaud them for being able to pull that off.
Yeah, super good performance by the lead.
The overall tone, I guess, was pretty good. I don't want to call it completely suspenseful, but just suspenseful in the fact that it was kind of weird to see them fight themselves without really knowing who or what they were to the end. Oh, are we doing spoilers? I don't think we should do spoilers.
You don't think so?
No. All right. So
either way.
Yes. Either way. The whole kind of vibe suspense wasn't as much as I thought it was gonna be. Especially towards the end, it kind of veered off for me. There were some moments where the comedy kind of undercut the seriousness, but I want to give the benefit of the doubt just because of the way the characters were, I guess, portrayed. So it was a little bit realistic. Like, I found myself thinking, oh, I'd probably say something like that. Kind of just given the situation of what was going on. The soundtrack or score, I guess, more like it was, I thought helped the tone.
I really like this
tremendous.
Soundtrack.
The moments of suspense were aided greatly by the score. The little tense moments. So let's just say if you saw the trailer when the family's standing outside and when they break apart and try to break into the house, I thought the score only enhanced. It didn't really detract. Loonies, I got 5 on it, is used in a very, very good way, I would say. Or well done, actually, is a better way to put it.
Well implemented?
Yeah, well implemented, thank you.
And that's like the orchestra version, right?
Yes, the orchestra version too. There is a scene at the end, without kind of spoiling it, where they do an orchestral version, and it fits so well with what is going on screen. It's to kind of just
intertwine with
intertwine. It's like it's almost like a dance fight scene, almost is what I can say without fully explaining what it actually is. Overall, yeah, I would recommend it, but where I start to kind of get iffy is some of the, I guess, questions you might find yourself asking. And once you realize that there are no answers to it, for me personally, the movie kind of starts to unravel. There is a twist. If you can't see the twist coming, you might enjoy the film a little bit more. But if you catch it right away,
Did you saw it coming?
Yeah, immediately.
See, I didn't. I'm pretty bad with the seeing stuff.
I would say if you do catch it, you kind of watch the film a little differently, and that can kind of give you a different view on the ending, most importantly, of what happens in the last like 30 minutes of the film. I did find myself asking some of these questions, such as like, well, I can't really say without spoiling, but more along the lines of, why didn't they do this, or why wasn't this involved, or how is this possible if X, Y, Z?
Yeah. See, I had questions, but I don't know whether to like say if they're a bad thing for me, because I don't know if I could just watch it like 2 or 3 more times and then like maybe half of my questions will be answered. So I don't know if that might play a factor, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, no, that's like the only really detraction for me, and I guess the twist kind of undermines it for me personally at the end. I know some people I talked to who also watched the film, their takeaways kind of were the same in terms of, well, with this whole twist thing, like, what happens to this and how does this make sense? So it's like, yeah, but then a lot of other people kind of overlook it and are more focused on kind of the metaphorical and allegorical themes that are present, which there are some. Going into the movie, I thought it was going to be a little more personal in terms of battling yourself and discovering that you're your own worst enemy in a sense, and that was there, except for at the end when they kind of revealed what the evil family kind of was, and that's where it kind of fell off for me, because I was expecting a little bit more of a personal feel, I would say. But I would recommend it. That's the bottom line. I would recommend you go see it. I do recommend you spend money and give this film your time. I did read some online reviews. Some were calling it the sophomore slump. I would kind of be iffy on that, just because I feel like both my pros and cons are balanced in a sense. I did like Get Out better than Us, and I can only say that I'm pretty excited for his next film. Whether it keeps that kind of like almost grounded supernatural mixed with science type vibe to it. So if you are on the fence of whether or not you want to go see it, I would suggest you go see it. If you're still kind of iffy, you catch a matinee and you won't be disappointed. I wasn't mad. I spent money to go see it. I wasn't mad. I spent my time to go see it. It was an entertaining film. It's just some of the questions that I found myself asking were really my only detractions.
Takes it away a little bit.
Yeah, it takes it away from my much. My overall enjoyment kind of was just diminished by just a little bit. And I feel like a lot of the questions that I asked and probably a lot of the audience were asking were kind of left ambiguous on purpose so that we could fill in the blanks. But I was more
left to like the symbolism.
Left to the symbolism and the allegories, and just kind of for you to decide what the film's about. So there really wasn't a clear kind of picture, a clear cut of like what the movie is actually about. So I would say, go check it out. Spend your time and money. Jordan Peele crafted a pretty good film. Like I said, I did like Get Out more than I liked Us, but that's not to say Us isn't a bad film. So I would say spend your time, spend your money, go check it out.
For sure.
That's about it. Everything else was good. Acting, sound, the shots. Ooh, some of the shots I really enjoyed.
The visuals?
Actually, yes. Before I forget, some of the shots that are in the film, and one in particular when they're on a boat and the main dad's fighting someone else, I won't say who, and he kind of jumps onto the boat and there's a shot where like the whole screen kind of rocks back and forth.
I didn't even notice that shot.
It was a really good shot. The cuts between, and this was in the trailer with the family standing outside the house, and then when they actually get inside the house, that's also in the trailer when they are looking at each other, the way they kind of cut back and forth between all characters looking at each other and facing themselves was well done. Some of the shots on the beach, especially at the end, without getting kind of spoilery, essentially when the evil family traps the good family, there's a really cool shot with the boy character, with both of the boy characters actually, that I thought was really well done. And especially the last maybe 10 minutes when there's that fight dance scene I kind of mentioned, that I thought the choreography, thank you. The choreography was very well done, and I honestly was not expecting kind of that to come out of it. I thought it was just going to be a more straightforward ending, but I honestly think that was like my favorite part of the film, was when the dance fight scene was being done, the way it was shot, the angles that were used, the choreography.
Kind of reminded me of Stanley Kubrick, the way some of the art direction was, like when they were I don't want to give it away, but certain places that they were, the way it was done artistically.
Yes, so there's a lot of little subtle moments in the film that can help you appreciate it more. So I would say go see it. Try not to think about it too much, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I think it's good to talk about Get Out before I get into it. I really liked Get Out. I haven't seen it too recently, so it's hard for me to compare the two. But I would describe, if you like Get Out is more of like a, slow candle burn kind of movie. It builds up, you find out what's gonna happen. You're in the shoes with the main character for a little while. And then I would compare that to Us. Us is more of like a roller coaster experience. I think they get to the horror / mystery of it all pretty quick.
They just dive right into it.
Yeah, so you get a lot more of the movie where they're just running around, surviving, doing all that stuff, which is, I guess, what people come for to these movies. Right off the bat, I really liked the way it was directed, the way some people like how we were saying, they might nitpick the movie, or they might think a lot about it, which might take it away from the experience, or they might find things that doesn't quite make sense, which again, I don't know if it'll work for me. If I watch it again, maybe some questions will be answered, some are just left ambiguous, not sure. But what was I gonna say? So yeah, the movie is it does a pretty good job the way it's structured, I think. So regardless of the story, I think the structure of the movie, like when he reveals things, the pacing of the movie, because you
are left. They don't really explain it to like the end, which, I mean, yeah, that makes sense, but
to the end, yeah,
it was, because I was left thinking, because I just wanted to know who they are, what are they doing, and that's where my kind of whole, like, I thought it was gonna be a more personal thing, kind of just falls off the wayside when they reveal what they are and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like that's why I felt the payoff wasn't as great as I thought it was gonna be. Not to say that it was a bad payoff, but I kind of feel like, in the sense, if you saw, like, for example, kind of just to compare to his other film with Get Out, the ending, I know, was kind of a little far-fetched in my opinion, in terms of transplanting people's consciousness and changing minds, sort of, for sure.
This ending's in the same family.
Yeah, but I thought that was okay just because of the rest of the film and how it was played out.
See, that's kind of how I feel about this movie too. But you don't.
I don't
feel the payoff.
I don't feel the payoff was as good as it was. Well, so I thought like the whole explanation and the reveal at the end to Get Out, I let it pass. Yeah. I don't want to say I let it pass, but I was I don't even want to say I was okay with it.
I feel like
in the middle, just because the rest of the movie was so good.
Yeah.
And for this one, for me, it was like
I feel the way it was built. Both, for sure.
It was like okay, and then it was kind of just like it was an even worse payoff than Get Out was. Mm-hmm. So I felt like if I had seen this first, then Get Out, my feelings would be vice versa.
See, I didn't see the twist at the end, so the payoff was a lot more worth it for me because I didn't like predict it. Like I don't know, I'm just not good at that, I guess. But to me, I think as far as how far-fetched the explanation is in Get Out, I think they're kind of both on the same equal level. So I guess it just really depends on like your predictability, if you're able to predict things really good in movies.
Because if you see it coming, you watch and I kind of want to go see it again just so I can kind of catch all the things I didn't catch the first time. Because if you do see the twist coming, you watch it differently and you pay attention more, obviously,
to the subtle details.
To the subtle details that that explain the twist already. Because if with this kind of movie, in the opening scene, and if you watch a lot of films, then you'll be like, oh, I already know. And kind of just the actions of the characters that are involved in the twist are kind of reiterated, and you're like, okay, so
you have to make sure it's consistent.
You have to make sure it's consistent, and you're like, oh, okay, so now that I know what I know, let's see if I can pick up any other things that kind of give it away outside of what you already knew the first time. So you watch it the first time, you know you already see what's going to come at the end. You pay attention to the little subtleties, and then the second time you really start to pick apart the actions of the characters and even some of the dialogue and even some of the little minor details.
How they move, how they talk.
How they move, how they talk, how they act. Especially with, I know I was reading, and this isn't going to kind of not really get into spoilers, but there are some little theories about the boy that I didn't really, I guess pay attention to the first time I watched it. Or probably the only time, but I do want to go. I want to see it again, but that's only because I really wasn't paying attention to him because
you're more focused.
I'm more focused on the other characters that are involved with the twist at the end.
See, something I really like about what Jordan Peele is doing with his movies is he puts in like a ton of Easter eggs. He puts in a ton of symbolism. Because in a lot of movies, there's always been Easter eggs here and there, but he really capitalizes off of them. And I feel like his symbolism isn't too hard to read. Like, it's pretty obvious. Because something will just seem strange, and then you wonder, oh, what is it? But he also has like a lot of the subtle symbolisms. So that's something I really like about his movie.
That kind of reminds me of the consistency of the characters and how they act. Because the way... And this is going back to like the acting and how well the family portrays themselves twice. I don't know the kids' names, but I know it's Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke. Especially Lupita, I feel like she really carries herself twice. She had to do it twice.
Yeah, she has
for the we'll call it the good and the bad family. Mm-hmm. So they all had to do double the work, and they all do double the work in such a phenomenal way. But I really think Lupita really nailed it. Mm-hmm. And the character kind of consistencies in their actions are present throughout the whole film. I'm not gonna get into like examples, but there are some, movies where the characters kind of teeter-totter back and forth. But I feel the good family, I would say, all their actions were believable, minus a couple lines of dialogue where I'm like, okay, that doesn't really help you. Or I know in one instance, and it's probably my second gripe outside of the twist, was when the girl, and this isn't a spoiler, is when the girl runs and then she's like playing hide and seek with her evil counterpart on the car, and then this guy comes out and it's like, what are you guys doing? Like, get off my car. And then she just runs away from him. And I'm like, but instead of literally being like, help me.
Well, I think she probably saw the end result. I don't know if she thought that
she does. She just runs. She doesn't even bother to.
Well, I think it's because she just feels as if that guy's not going to survive or something. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I could see it, but I know for me in my head immediately,
it's
I was
a very
like,
mirror
why didn't you say, help me, please?
I really like how the movie is rewatchable. I like movies that are rewatchable, like Christopher Nolan's The Prestige. This one's a good one to rewatch, like we were saying, just to pick up on all the things that you now know by the end of the movie, to see how they translate from the beginning of the movie. Also, like I said, I thought it was well directed. I thought the editing was on point with the music. I thought the acting was strong.
I think the acting might be my favorite part out of the whole thing.
Followed
by the score.
Yeah, and the score was great. I actually enjoyed the comedy. I thought they did it at times where because most of it is at times where they're not really fighting themselves. Like, they're kind of like in transition to like do something else. So I don't know like what other place you would put it in, but I think it was good. If you're a fan of like Jordan Peele, Key and Peele type of comedy, then I mean, it's not that
in your face.
It's not that in your face as Key and Peele like comedy, but you know, caricatures. As far as in a movie,
I think more dialogue.
Yeah, I think Peele does more of he recognizes that subtle comedy is for the movies, not like skits and stuff like Key and Peele. But yeah, I think the comedy worked really great. Like I said, I didn't see the twist coming, so I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty cool. Like we were saying, if you ask yourself more questions, it might start to break the ending, the final act for you a little bit more. I thought the final act, besides like the questioning and the issues that you might have, I thought like it was enjoyable. It was fun to see everything unravel. I thought it was shot nicely and wrapped up pretty well. It's just the story that might be questionable, as far as how many questions you ask, as far as if you go to watch it again.
It's a lot of what the fuck.
Yeah,
I mean, ends up being a lot of what the fuck. But if you,
I enjoy it.
Like so, like we had like walking out of the theater, we had to clarify some things between the both of us because you didn't pick up on certain things.
There's certain things that I had forgotten, and so that changed my. Well, it just changed the very, very ending of the film. I wasn't quite sure what was what and what was where, type of thing. But once I got it clarified, it made a little bit more sense to me. But if you ultimately, I would say, you know, it has a similar twist reveal as Get Out, which is a little bit far-fetched, but I know people still enjoy the movie. Some people don't mind the far-fetchedness. Some people, it just goes along with the genre to them. It was also
his like first
and it was also his first film.
So it's like,
so if you don't mind that kind of thing, and also because the rest of the film is so good, like Get Out was just super good. So even if you didn't like the end, just everything that takes place to get up until that point was so good that
I think that's why
it's kind of hard to give it a negative score.
That's why I can't let it slide again. I feel like for us,
oh,
like you already did it once, and maybe it's a little bit more my fault for expecting something a little more personal because I know
that was my thing. Like
a lot of pre-hype was, oh, this is gonna be like
when I saw on screen that it wasn't as personal, I was a little bit worried. But I didn't mind just because it still is personal in the way that, how do I say this without spoiling it? It still is personal because their doppelgangers still play a key role in everything. And so I think for me it still worked just because they did still have that importance. So I was relieved at least because I thought it was going to be like, you know, the whole world is doppelgangers. Now the whole world is in it. It's not just us, but I think they still keep it very personal especially to the lead characters, her story about her life and her upbringing and stuff like that. So to me it works, but I could definitely understand why people why it wouldn't work for them. So
you would recommend it then?
Yeah, I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend it because I think it's so much of a roller coaster of a movie. It's a really fun ride. If you're into far-fetched things, this one is debatable on which one's more far-fetched, the Unravel from Get Out or the Unravel from Us. I think they're really, really similar. So if you didn't mind the reveal from Get Out, then I think you would still really enjoy this one. I think the filmmaking, like I said, just the way this movie is like structured and filmed, I really like the opening scene with the TV and what happens there. It just seems like everything is really well thought out. And yeah, it's nice to see like a family horror movie.
That is true. That's one thing that slipped my mind. I was like, oh,
it's not like a group of teenagers
partying. Yeah, it's a family. It's just a family on vacation, and the vacation gets uprooted by crazy visitors, and it just goes from there.
Yeah, it goes from there. Definitely recommend you check it out if you're a fan of rewatchable movies, Easter egg symbolism. Jordan Peele's got you covered in that department, most definitely. So, yeah, go see this movie if you're the type of person that everything has to make sense. And like the littlest things
only enhance
might make or break it for you, then you may or may not like this movie. I would say this: go on your verdict from Get Out. If you like that movie,
that's a good way to put it. If
yeah,
you like
I think that's a good reference.
Go see it. And it just depends on, what...
Especially since this one's more...
And what kind of question. How many questions and what kind of questions you'll find yourself asking, and whether or not you can come to a conclusion to those questions.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind not coming to
and if you don't mind not being able... Because like I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of it was left ambiguous on purpose, just so you can fill in your own blanks. But for me personally, I filled in those blanks and I was like, it doesn't make any sense. But not enough to where I'm like, don't go see this movie.
Yeah.
That's 2 recommendations right there from Ariel and I to go check it out. Spend your time, spend your money, have yourself a nice, it's like a little under 2 hours. Enjoy yourself at the film. And you'll come out, what the fuck. But for me, my what the fuck was like in the middle. I know a lot of people, especially I've seen on my Twitter, were like, go see it, it's so good, oh my god, like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, okay, but like, actually think about what's going on and then tell me it's still a good movie. Well, I mean, because it is, but it's not as hyped as I would make it out to be.
Final verdict, great movie, go see it,
But, yeah, there's a lot of buts.
There's a lot of buts, and it just matters on who you are as a film viewer, what you like. And yeah, that's why I said, the ultimate reference for you is whether or not you enjoyed Get Out. If you really liked Get Out and you like fast-paced movies more, then I think you'll definitely love this one. The only other thing that will make it or break it for you is if you can predict the ending, which I'm not sure how easy it is to predict. I haven't seen people's reactions to if they were able to predict it or not. I know Jeremiah said he did. I wasn't able to. But yeah, that's my recommendation. I think that's a good guide to go off of.
So boom, that's 2 recommendations. Like we said, go check it out. There's a lot of buts. Ariel mentioned, depending on what kind of film viewer, if you're casual, hardcore, you like to nitpick, you like details. It just all depends on you. But that's 2 recommendations. We'd say call it good. Spend your time, spend your money, go check it out. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I know our next one, next movie review for the big one is either gonna be Shazam or Pet Sematary.
Endgame,
a little after that. because I know Shazam and Pet Sematary come on the same day, so maybe we can knock them out. But I'm looking forward more to Pet Sematary.
I know nothing about.
I kind of want to keep this horror thriller suspense train going.
And it's not even October. Look at that.
And it's not even October. You're right. Absolutely right. So I really hope
Christmas came early.
I really hope this year is gonna be as good as last year in terms of horror, suspense, and thrills. So
yeah,
started off pretty strong. I hope we can keep it going. Any last comments, words, final thoughts?
No, go see the movie. I'm excited for Jordan Peele's third.
All right. So we'll catch you next time. Thank you for joining us here on the channel for our movie review. If you haven't already, go check out our review for Captain Marvel. We also have some other videos up on the channel, the Most Ambitious Crossover Event. You can check that out. Also, along with Nothing About Everything, a podcast that we've just recently started work on. So I want to thank you once again for joining us. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Ariel.
And we will check you guys out later.